back in the house, we have Mark Nijmeijer. He's the Senior Director of Product Management at HYCU, and he is going to be chatting about HYCU, but also how they work a little bit in tandem with Okta. So I'm excited about that. And don't forget, do throw in all of your thoughtful questions for Q&A, because we will have Mark here to answer some questions and let us pick his brain after he presents. So with that, I'm going to send Mark out onto the stage here. Mark, are you ready to take it away?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Perfect. Hello, everybody. Like the announcer already said, my name is Mark Nijmeijer, part of the product management team here at HYCU. I'm going to talk about the implications of basically security, identity, and so on, and really talk about if something happens, if there are changes in configuration, whether those are accidental, malicious, ransomware related, and talk through how you can protect yourself against things like that. I talk to a lot of customers, and people really start to realize it's not if something happens, it's more when something happens with those attacks, with those breaches, and so on. So really important to have a good plan, a good strategy in mind. As I said, I'm part of the product management team here at HYCU. Let me first start with who HYCU actually is. HYCU is a relatively young company. We started about 10 years ago, and we started developing data protection solutions, really backup and recovery for on-prem infrastructure. So think of solutions like VMware, Nutanix, and so on. And we've built that out. We built that technology out to first include public cloud backup and restores, build it native solutions for those platforms. But most recently, last year, we have released what we call R-Cloud. And R-Cloud is basically taking our data protection engine that we've matured over the last 10 years with about 4,200 customers worldwide. But we've now adapted this so our customers can start using it to protect applications that are running in the cloud as a native application. So SaaS, PaaS, DBaaS applications. Like I said, we have about 4,200 customers worldwide, about 78 countries that we are transacting in, and really focused on data protection. We have a very nice set of investors behind the company, Bain Capital, A Crew, but also investments from companies like Atlassian and Okta. So really highlighting the fact that they see the value of having data protection of data, of configuration that is sitting in the cloud. One of the things that I'm very proud of is our NPS score. As you probably are aware, the NPS score shows how happy people are with the product and with support and so on. We've consistently scored 90 or above over the last 3-4 years, ever since the company started measuring this. So very happy customers, very good product, and so on. And we are part of the Gartner Magic Quadrant. We're in the visionary quadrant right now, but you can see we're very well positioned to basically start disrupting the market. If we look a little bit around, right, and I think most of you are in some shape or form and show some progress of the digital transformation, right? Going from an on-prem environment into the cloud, maybe multi-cloud, and so on. A lot of customers that I talk to say they have fully embraced hybrid cloud, and most of them are actually using multiple clouds.
Hey there, Mark. I'm not sure if it's just me, but I think we might have lost your audio here for a sec. I just wanted to see if maybe you can do a quick refresh or make sure you've got the right mic hooked up there. Let's do a little tech checking quickly for everyone out there in the audience if you're also having the same issue.
All right, I've done a refresh. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Perfect. Awesome.
Maybe just jump back 15, 20 seconds from the top of that slide there.
All right. So let me recap this slide really quickly. So a lot of companies I talk to, they are in the process of moving to a hybrid cloud. A lot of them are already using multiple clouds. But the surprising thing is that the average enterprise within the US is using something like 200 to 250 different SaaS applications, right? And if we look at the progression of basically the evolution of IT 20 years ago, everything was running on-prem, right? So for an IT administrator, for a backup administrator, it was very easy to track who is using what is being used. But as time has progressed, and with the advent of SaaS applications, a lot of those business applications that used to run in the data center now run somewhere within the cloud, right? And the other fact is that only 50% of applications are actually managed by central IT. Right? So if you are responsible for data protection, how can you protect something if you don't even know that it's running within your organization? Right? So it's very important to have a good visibility on all of those applications, all of those data sources that are being used in the organization. And that's why we have developed together with Okta, on top of the Okta platform, we've built a tool that helps with the discovery of those SaaS applications. And we call that tool R-Graph. We basically leverage the information that is stored within Okta, as well as Entra ID, by the way, to provide a very clear picture of all of the applications that are being used in your organization. Right? So we can give you a very nice graphical overview of what department is using what tools and so on, and if they are protected, if they are important, if they have important information, and if they fall away, or if the data gets changed or hijacked or encrypted, how much of an impact that will be on your organization, right? So in one glance, basically, we allow you to assess the risk of all of those data sources, and we can actually give you a score at the organization level, both at the departmental level, but also at the organization level. So somebody like your CIO, your CISO, your head of IT, in one glance, they can see how they're doing. HYCU, of course, brings protection for those applications as well, right? So let me dive into there. First of all, we are, like I said, we are invested by Okta Ventures, right? So we're working very closely together to extend the Okta platform. I did a webinar a couple of months ago, so I stole some of the slides over there, reused some of the slides over there. Right? Really, Okta, as everybody is aware, they're very much committed to your identity security. And they have built a very nice platform. Identity is mission critical. So they are responsible for making sure that service is always up and running. Really a platform built for trust, right? In the end, you have to trust who comes in through the front door, who has access to what applications, what data sources, and so on. And of course, they are architected really, really well. They're architected for fault tolerance. If something within their stack goes down, they can recover really, really quickly. They're also architected really well for disaster recovery. So if one of the cloud zones, the availability zones goes down, they can do a very quick failover to a different part of that cloud stack, whether that is East Coast, West Coast, whether that is into a different continent and so on. They actually have the ability to set up free zones that are all basically in semi-active mode and so on. But the thing that they don't really have protection for is data and configuration that is stored within Okta, right? So if somebody goes in and makes changes within Okta that is kind of goes in through a regular API connection or a regular user account, they typically cannot help you undo those changes, right? And they call this the shared responsibility model. So customer configuration, like data, like configuration and so on, in the end is customer responsibility. Even though Okta does backups of their entire organization, they cannot use that to do rollbacks of customer initiated changes, right? And so if you think about it, the data and the configuration within Okta is very, very critical to your organization, right? What if your employees could not access critical applications? What if all of your IT staff basically loses access to all of the IT applications that you're using? What if they can give themselves access to very critical, very sensitive information, right? So very large risk of operational disruptions, recovery cost, lost revenue, lost productivity, and in the end, it might even cause your reputation to have damage. In the end, you have to realize that Okta or any security identity system is really the gateway. It's like the front door to your entire estate, right? So you have to think about what are the things that could go wrong with Okta, right? Operational data loss, outages, and cyber attacks, right? Very apt, very much a sign of the times. There's even things like ransomware as a service that people basically pay like $100 to a company somewhere on the dark web, and they can go out and basically start attacking organizations in a very structured way. But then there's also an angle of security and compliance. Right, a lot of people have to show that they have copies of their data, of their configuration, especially in Europe with NIS2 and DORA coming up. A lot of those applications that are running in the cloud, you have to show that you have backups, that you have a way of quickly recovering. Remember this picture that I showed you, right? So basically, we are focusing. HYCU is focused on protecting that customer configuration and the customer data, right? So our solution makes it very easy to set up automated backups for Okta configuration. It's basically give us a service account, give us an API token, right? And we assign a policy, what we call a backup policy, to the Okta instances that we discover, right? So really, it's a set and forget approach. You basically can set it up within 5 minutes, and now you have automated backups that run in the background. We take care of that in our data protection as a service stack. They can run 24/7. They can run multiple times per day if you have a need for that. The power of our solution really comes in when something goes wrong. Right? If somebody makes an accidental change, deletes an application, deletes a policy, deletes an application assignment, and so on, or if somebody, like maybe even a disgruntled employee, starts making changes because he knows he's getting laid off at the end of the month or at the end of the week, and he hasn't lost his access yet. And ransomware, of course, is a very important driver for having protection for your Okta configuration. The HYCU solution allows you to do very granular restores. Of course, we can restore the entire Okta instance, the entire Okta configuration. But if somebody goes in and deletes one policy, I can basically hit the undo button for that. In just a few clicks, in just a few minutes, I can restore that policy, whether that was from a backup from yesterday, or I can restore the policy based on a backup that is maybe 2 or 3 months old. But it also helps with HYCU also helps with long-term data retention. We can take copies of the Okta configuration, store it on storage that you own, that you manage, that you pay for. Right? HYCU does never want to store customer data because that basically breaks the data governance picture over there. So we always go back to storage that you own, that you present to us. And there you are in control over the long-term retention. You can set up a protection policy, a backup policy to keep copies of your Okta configuration around for multiple years. Right? So from a compliance perspective, it's really an easy checkbox. And then with rGraph, like I talked about already, you have complete visibility around what is running out in your organization, who has control over backups and restores of all of those data sources as well. Right? So RBAC is completely built into our solution. And then, so if I do one click further, we go much broader, we go much further than just Okta, right? As you can see, all of these solutions, all of the icons, all of the logos that I have on the screen over here, we actually can protect for you. So if we detect the use of these applications using rGraph, using basically browsing the Okta configuration data, we can protect all of these applications that are running within your organization in very much the same way as we do for Okta. Just assign a backup policy, give us an API token, and we will take care of the backups and provide very granular restores. Very elegant architecture, very pluggable. So every month we can add 2-3 former applications that we now can protect. So our marketplace is always growing with new applications. So kind of concluding over here, wanted to recommend 5 ways to basically think about security for your identity environment and so on, right? First of all, bring Okta to life, bring your identity stacks to life. Use our graph built on Okta, built on Entra ID to basically discover those applications and give very important critical information to your CIO, head of IT, and so on. But also, and you've heard this earlier today, this is just part of a multi-layer design, a security design, right? Of course, you need to have very active security measures around your entire data estate, right? Identity is one of those critical pictures, firewalls, things like that. But in the end, like what I started with, it's not if something happens, it's when something happens. If somebody gets in and if somebody starts changing access and so on, you need to have a known good last copy of your configuration that is stored on storage that you own, that is encrypted with keys that you own, that might even be enabled with what we call worm. Basically, at the moment the backup is written, nobody can touch that, nobody can encrypt it, nobody can delete that backup until the timer runs out. So really a nice piece of storage technology that helps you protect and keep that known good copy of your configuration around. Really extending that platform of trust that I was talking about, right? Okta has done a very good job in making sure that their stack is resiliency. We're basically providing the next step and providing resiliency against maybe even an oopsie moment, right? Somebody going in and clicking the wrong button and clicking yes without even thinking about it, right? So really providing data resiliency from any kind of outages, from any kind of cyber attacks across the entire data estate, right? Not just Okta, but many, many more. I think we're up to like 65 different SaaS applications that we support today. And then the last piece, I think we can all smile about that. Sleep well at night, right? In the end, we want to go to bed and not have to worry about the bad guys that are hanging out in the dark web and trying to get into your company and trying to disrupt. There's so many good examples over the last few months that kind of have reached the news around ransomware being very effective, causing multiple millions in payouts and so on. So what's next? Definitely want to encourage you to check out our free trial. We always provide R-Graph for free. You can sign up for an instance, an account within HYCU R-Cloud and get access to R-Graph. You can hook it up to either Okta or your Entra ID environment, and we'll show you that nice graph that I was talking about. But you can also try out protection for Okta. We provide you a 2-week free trial. That is very easy to set up. We don't need any drivers. We don't need any agents. You don't need to run anything on-prem. It's just click and go. So basically sign up for your account. Give us the service account for Okta, assign a policy. That's all you need to do. Within 5 minutes, basically, you are protected. With that, let me see if there's any questions that came in while I was talking.
Yeah, we've got some questions in the queue for you. So let's dive into it. First, I want to say that 90 MPS score is nuts. A previous company I worked with, they were aiming for 70, and that's actually seen as pretty good. So you guys are really well above the industry standard, I think, on that.
Very proud of that, yes.
Amazing. Well, people should definitely check out the free trial. Then they can experience this high touch customer goodness. I'm just going to throw up that QR here for a sec if anyone does want to grab that trial, and then I'm going to flip over to the poll as we go through some questions. But let's dive into the questions. First one I've got for you is: can I use HYCU to restore into a different Okta account?
Actually, yes, I didn't talk about it in my talk thread, but yeah, we built in fairly recently. We built in a capability of basically taking the backup from instance A and then restoring that back into instance B. So that unlocks some really interesting use cases like sandbox, Q&A environments, maybe even like mergers and acquisitions and so on are possible with that. So yes, the answer is yes, we can do that.
Okay, awesome. Next thing is, how fast can I do a recovery in case something goes wrong?
Yeah, so I get that question a lot, right? And I show this a lot in demos and so on. And if you're interested, feel free to reach out to me on like LinkedIn or as a follow up. Basically, within a few clicks and within a few minutes, I can provide an undo button for any kind of change that you have within your organization. Of course, if you're a very large tenant with lots of users and you need to do a full restore, it will take a little bit longer. But for any kind of undo operations, it's just a few minutes.
Awesome. Next one here from Phil is, can I take a backup manually before I make some big Okta changes?
Yes, of course. So our policies provide automated backups, right? So whenever the schedule basis reaches it, we'll start a job and make sure that you hit your RPO goals. But if you want to, if you're planning to make a big change within Okta and you want to basically grab a backup, of course we have a way of starting that. And within a few minutes, you can basically prepare yourself and have a rollback point if the configuration change is not successful. Good question.
Question here is about, say, like Okta. Do I need to have, is Okta the only way to work with HYCU, or what other options are there?
Yeah, so from a discovery perspective, today we integrate with Okta and Entra ID. Right? But of course, from a protection perspective, we protect a lot more different SaaS applications. Like I said, we're up to something like 65 or 70 different data sources, and every month we're releasing another one or two. So really continuously improving, continuously expanding our marketplace.
Nice. Okay, this is a question from Steve. It's a little bit long, so just buckle in. He's saying, we already have Okta for single sign-on, however, it can be exploited by hackers who use it to log into a site recurring just a compromised password, then use SSO to gain access to other sites and applications that would normally require MFA. What is the best approach to mitigate or prevent such threat?
Yeah, so one of the things we provide is kind of change detection, anomaly detection. So if we notice that Okta accounts have changed, or there's a lot of account creations or account deletions, or even assignments for applications and so on, we will actually notify our customers, our IT admin, saying, "Hey, we think something is going on. Can you have a look at that?" So I would say that is one of the ways that we can provide detection there. Of course, like I said, we're just part of a multi-layer approach, right? So of course you have different tools that can help you actually doing more of an acute detection of those kind of changes.
Awesome, perfect. Of course, there's the trial, but is there any other way to get like a case study or see a demo somewhere if people are wanting to get a little sense of what's under the hood, or is the best way just to dive in and do that demo with you guys?
Yeah, so a couple of resources that are available. Of course, the handout, right? So it's a data sheet, it's a solution brief for our HYCU for Okta solution. I would definitely encourage you to go to hycu.com, HYCU.com. And then on the top left, there's products, and you can basically find our Okta solution. There's a short demo video there. There are data sheets linked over there. There are some customer case studies, linked over there as well. So all of that information is available online at hycu.com, HYCU.com.
Okay, awesome. Well, with that, we are going to wrap things up, but is there anything else you want to leave the audience with? I know we've kind of pointed them to some resources, but any bragging moments, any mic drop that you want to say before we wrap this mega cast?
No, I think it was great being here. Thank you for the organizers and giving HYCU another spot. I hope today was very, very useful. I know it's been a long session and so on. You probably learned a lot. And yeah, like I said, hycu.com is the place to be. That's where all of the information is. I hope everybody has a great rest of the week.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Pleasure to have you on, Mark, and enjoy the rest of your week as well. And we'll look forward to having you on again.
Thank you.
Cheers. Take care.